ready to show you the entrepreneurial wealth staircase. These are the only 8 steps that entrepreneurs who create wealth follow to get there. There is no other 8-step process, 5-step process. This is the only process that works. And I've broken this down, compared it to the 1,000 business books I've read, the $600,000 a year I spend on coaches, mentors. I'm coached by a $500 million CEO, regularly get lunch with a billionaire. That's just 2 of the dozens of mentors that are super successful in business that I've been blessed to be able to learn from. And I've condensed this down and summarized the 8-step staircase that you can't ignore in order to become successful. And I'm gonna break that down step by step in this video. And in case it makes you feel any better, I also use these 8 steps in order to build my own business to $30 million in recurring revenue at a $70 million valuation. And it definitely works, so follow the steps. These 8 steps will show you how to transition from you working hard for money to your money working hard for you. Because all of us have a drive and a desire to do something on our own. A lot of people do, at least. The question is, do you get to a point where your money starts working hard for you? Because most entrepreneurs' lives become harder when they start a business. It doesn't become easier. We're sold this myth that if I start my own business and work for myself, life's gonna get so easy, and that's exactly the opposite of what happens when you start your own business. It is freaking hard. And the first 4 steps of this staircase I'm gonna break down, life is hard. The second 4 steps of this staircase, life gets easy. This is where you transition to you working hard for money to your money working hard for you, and where your business is a commercial profitable enterprise that runs without you, and you receive a cash dividend as a result of the business enterprise that you built, not as a result of your personal time input. And then you're able to take that money and you're able to deploy that into either an expansion strategy, and eventually you're even able to go to the point where you become a wealth multiplier, where your money multiplies money. Most entrepreneurs never get here. Most entrepreneurs spend their entire life working hard for money, telling themselves the lie they work for themselves, when really you're just grinding the same way you did when you had a job. So my intention with this video is to show you how to get to the highest level of entrepreneurship so that you can build a true business asset. You can increase your net worth. You can increase your income from a business that runs without you. You can take that income and either blitz scale, multiply your business, or multiply your wealth, or both. All right, let's dive in. Step number 1 is you being a student. All business success, entrepreneurial success starts first with being a student. We become a student when we go to elementary, middle, high school, and then eventually some of us go to college. And that's one form of being a student, but as we all know, most of the business schools or schools that we've gone to, especially high schools, middle schools, they train you on how to become a specialist in some area, but they don't train you on entrepreneurship, and they certainly don't train you on this staircase. And one of the most challenging things about being a student is you have to pay money in order to learn, which is why everyone has to fall in love with being a student in order to learn, but you also have to graduate from step 1, being a student, to step 2 is when you become an employee. And the awesome thing about becoming an employee is, instead of you paying money to learn like you did as a student, you now get paid to learn on the job. And the most successful entrepreneurs tend to pick their first job wisely. They pick a job that's gonna teach them skills that relate to their long-term goals. You're a lot better off going immediately into something, even if it pays you less, that teaches you core critical skills for your long-term goals in the future. But the majority of people stay as an employee and never go out and start their own business. Step number 3 is you becoming a solopreneur. Over 80% of businesses never break having one employee. So the majority of businesses in the United States and all countries are solopreneur businesses. I define a solopreneur as an owner with a few helpers. And most people become solopreneurs once they have this insight in their mind that I want to work for myself. And you learn very quickly that you don't work for yourself when you're a solopreneur. You work for your clients and you work for a small team. These couple of helpers that you employ when you're a solopreneur, They're completely dependent on your direction. They're checking in with you all the time. They're interrupting you throughout the day, throughout the week. And so are your clients, because you don't have much of a line of defense when you're a solopreneur. So this perception of freedom and I'm gonna work for myself actually doesn't really materialize. It doesn't come true, which is why some people decide to go to step 4 and actually scale their business minimally and go to what I call step 4, the small business manager. Only 16% of businesses get to this stage. I define a small business manager as the owner of a business and between 3 to 19 employees. So if you think about it, you still have this dream of working for yourself, but what happens at stage 4 is still you're not really working for yourself. You're still working for your clients, and you're now working for an even bigger team. So you don't really run a business yet, you still have a job, and now you're spending your time putting out employee fires and you're putting out client fires. So in my business, I went from solopreneur to small business manager in a course of around 2.5 years. When I started my business, I was the only one signing up clients. I was the only one doing all the work for my clients and customers. What I kept doing was doubling down on marketing and doubling down on sales, to the point where I had to continue hiring people. And once I got to the small business manager step, I realized my stress levels didn't reduce. If anything, they increased. So I had to go through a period of a rebuild. And this rebuild period I call the abyss. And the abyss is the hardest thing for an entrepreneur to cross. You have to cross this abyss with a commitment to become step 5, which I'll break down in a second. But there's 3 pillars to crossing the abyss: foundation, delegation, and capitalization. Once you decide you want to go from small business manager and you want to actually become the owner of a true enterprise that runs without you, you have to first fix your foundation. So your foundation is your systems and your team. So if everyone is doing everything in your company different ways, there's no predictable systems, you can't really trust your team because they're underperforming, maybe they're B players and C players, you have to go through a process of fixing the foundation of your business. Then as you fix the foundation of your business, you have to go to delegation. You have to give up the things that you were once doing on a weekly basis. So whether this is work for your customers, like individual delivery work, also giving up the next level of sales activity. So if you were the one on the phone doing the sales, you have to train your first salesperson. And this is one of the hardest things, but it's also the biggest payoff because it gives you freedom. And then number 3 is capitalization. You need to generate capital to hire all these people and get to the next level. And the 2 ways that you make money is through marketing and hiring, right? I always say people don't cost you money, people are an investment. If each person on your team is not having a return on investment, why are they on your team? Especially when you're a small business. Everyone has to hold their weight and have a return on investment. This is where you end up becoming a resource allocator, not a time allocator. So in the beginning stage of business, all you're putting in as an input is time. On the other side of the abyss, all you're putting in is resources and then a little bit of time. So it shifts. The only thing you have in the beginning is sweat equity, and then it transitions that you trade that sweat equity for excess capital. And then what you do is you start trading resources instead of trading your personal time. Okay, so step number 5, this is probably the most important and difficult step. There's a reason only 2% of business owners ever get to this point, and that's where you become a CEO, where you truly become the executive officer of an enterprise. And instead of you working hard for your clients and a very small team, you now start working hard for your vision and a leadership team. And the most important shift that happens when you become a CEO is you no longer have a job. At this point, it's the first time in an entrepreneurial journey when you exceed having 20 full-time employees that you will get that glimpse of a real feeling of freedom. You're not really worried if any one person quits your business. You also have a proven marketing and sales model, so you're not worried about where the next client's gonna come from. You are truly focused on the highest level decisions and not tied into the day-to-day operations. So if you're not at step 5, that should be your goal. You have to get to step 5 in order to feel real cash freedom and time freedom from your business. Step number 6 is where you become a true definition of a business owner. You have a business that truly runs itself. And instead of just having a leadership team of 4 or 5 lieutenants that you put your trust in, you actually build a real executive team, a team of people with real life bulletproof experience in your trade. And the best payoff of all is you receive a profit and you receive enterprise value as a result of your business, not your individual time input. As a business owner, you're focused on ways to increase the value of your business. When you graduate to this owner category, all of the things you've done to replace yourself in the day-to-day, they don't just give you personal freedom. They also increase your net worth and increase the value of your company because the company becomes less dependent on your personal time inputs. So once you've mastered the skill of being a business owner, then step 7 is where you become an expansion or a freedom entrepreneur. And there's really 2 paths that you can take here. A freedom entrepreneur, you now have created a business that runs itself. You're not needed in the day-to-day, focus on work-life balance, and you don't really expand past that point. The people who change the world are expansion entrepreneurs. And what they do is they take their cash dividends from their self-managing business and they reinvest them into new opportunities. The first is they consider geographic expansion. So if you've made your business model work in a local market, say your state, great. Now it's time to bring it to another state. Another method that expansion entrepreneurs use is they take their excess capital and they invest it into different business units. An example of this would be someone like Elon Musk, who took his cash winnings from PayPal and then invested them in SpaceX and Tesla. And the third and final example of expansion entrepreneurship is where you go through mergers and acquisitions, meaning you start buying other companies to buy their cash flow, buy their teams, and expand and dominate your market that way. Some expansion entrepreneurs get to a point where their business is self-managing, but for some people that's not enough. So you have to create a self-multiplying business. You hire a competent enough team to multiply your business without your time input. The business continues growing even without your input. It increases everything regarding your wealth, which is why at this point is when you become truly rich. I know for me, I'm only in the expansion entrepreneur category right now. We have a team of over 100 employees now, but make no mistake, I had to pass through the CEO category and the business owner category, and they were really hard to get there. But I will tell you this, once you learn how to be a CEO and how to actively manage a leadership team, it's very easy to do the expansion entrepreneur stuff. It's a lot less work, it's a lot more fun. So I would strongly suggest that you learn how to be a true CEO of your business and that you learn how to have your business run itself so that you can get to the fun stuff. But set your own goal, and at the end, I'll show you how I'm gonna hold you accountable to it. All right, and the last step, this is the pinnacle, this is the final step of the wealth multiplication process, and I call it wealth multiplier. There's a difference between being rich and wealthy. This is where you build what I call an indestructible wealth portfolio. It's when your money starts multiplying without you. And there's many different ways you can become a wealth multiplier. One is by investing in other businesses. You could invest in the stock market. You can invest in real estate. You can become an angel investor. The choice is yours. So as a result of this 8-step entrepreneurial staircase, what I want you to do is decide and accept where are you now on the staircase and where do you want to be in the future? And then create a plan on how you're going to get there. And let me know in the comments what stage you're at right now and where you want to be in the future so I can hold you accountable to it. I'll see you in the next video.